Good morning. How are you?
Buried with Christ in baptism, raised to walk in newness of life.
He would create in them something that goes far beyond what other people might even have imagined.
I'm Shoun. I'm the lead pastor at Arrowhead Church. I grew up in Morristown, and I grew up going to church, but not with a genuine faith of my own. Went to University of Tennessee and really began to see people who were my own age who had a real vibrant faith of their own. And for me, it set in really at that point that this is the life I wanted to live. And so then from there, I didn't sense any sort of call to ministry at all. I felt like I would be a business guy. I thought about going to law school. And really, after a period of time, even through school at UT, which at the time was much like it is now, I sensed that God was calling me to ministry. I didn't know what that looked like. But after I graduated, got into seminary one semester in, and heard the idea that a new church could actually be started. I think growing up in this area, I just thought that God made the trees and the mountains, and He put the churches there too. And so it was just something that was part of such woven into the fabric of who we were. But I just attached dead faith really to the Bible Belt, and so I thought God was calling me to plant a church in some other part of the world. The most random of ideas, seemingly, was at the time we would go to Morristown, where my wife Sarah had some history here. She went to Carson Newman as well, and she just thought, as did I mean, that's the last place on earth we'll ever spend the rest of our lives. And it began, funny as it was at that time, to be more of okay, now I have a burden. So I thought, wow, I mean, what God has done in me, I want that for the people that I call my closest friends and family. So once God told us to go, I mean, we hit the ground running. It was in early 2008 when I publicly said for the first time, I think we're going to do this. And so over the course of the second half of 2008, I just began to make phone calls, contact anybody that I could, who I thought maybe would have some interest or connection to this in any way. And just through a web of relationships and the work of the Holy Spirit, a team was formed. And by January of 2009, we had our first public service in a community center in Morristown called Rose Center. And we met there for a little over a year, about 15 months or so. And then we were able, in God's grace, to be able to move into a facility that was a storefront, shopping center kind of facility that wasn't on our radar either. Here we are with another surprise, and we were able to get into that place. And then, so now it's been almost 9 years, and here we are, ready to, almost ready to celebrate 4 years in this facility. So it's been a fast-moving kind of train when it comes to just the location. But for us, location has never been the central issue. It's not something that we've wanted to identify ourselves with or define ourselves by. There were days when, years ago, when our church was maybe 500 people, where it was not an estimation, it was not an exaggeration to say that possibly half the crowd was Carson Newman students. I didn't move back to Morristown with the thought, I wonder if college students will come from Carson Newman to Morristown. I just didn't think it was even a possibility. I thought if college students are going to leave Jefferson City, they're probably going to go toward Knoxville, and it really wasn't even on our radar. But it's been, obviously one of the most fun parts of our first 8 years. And people would say things like, I came to this church and thought it was like a church for the community, but obviously it's a church for college students, and we were like, no. I know you've never seen college students in church before, but this is not a church just for college students. And you have this funny thing where, over the summer, we were like half the church we used to be, but there's so much life and passion and excitement that comes from that stage of life that I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love being able to be a church that the Carson Newman students find a home here. Yeah, I think the Great Commission commands us to share our faith, and so, but I do believe that as we share our faith, that Jesus is faithful to continue to call people to Himself, and so whatever that looks like, that's the thing that we want to maintain consistency in. We want to be about engaging people with the gospel, and I think that means that more people will come to Christ. I really do believe that there are a lot of great churches in our community, that there's plenty of room and plenty of space, but I also know that God blesses new work for Him. And so we want to plant other churches. We'd love to plant churches here in our town. We want to plant churches in other communities around us. We've just begun a church about 1.5 years ago in Greenville, and that's something that we would see happening in an ongoing way, that these places where, back in my past, I would say didn't have any spiritual life because of just the hijacking of that from the standpoint of religion and tradition. Not that there aren't great churches in all the communities around us, there are, but I think there's a stranglehold on vibrant faith, and so we want to see new churches planted, and we believe that when that happens, that won't just be good for that one church, that it'll be good. I think that, again, we're blessed to be a part of a great network of churches in our community, and I think that there's a lot of good work going on here, and I think there's good work going on in other places, and that will continue as we plant churches there too.